Thank you. So we are about to unleash you all for a 15-minute break. But before we do that, I'll tee up our breakout portion, which will start at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. So if we can move to the next slide. We'll be thinking through 3 specific challenges that we've heard directly from our change makers were top of mind for them. These topics are 1, how to leave a legacy of wellness-centered leadership and communications, particularly during times of turnover and uncertainty. The second group will be focusing on how to navigate AI and its implications for efficiency and well-being. And the third group will be discussing how to co-create hubs of well-being, enhancing resource sharing among academic medical centers and community organizations, which is even more important in this current climate. So this will be an opportunity to connect with other change makers, to co-develop some solutions with one another for the next 45 minutes. We'll have 3 great facilitators take care of you during their groups, and then we'll rejoin in the main session to talk through some of the key takeaways about sustainability, some of the key barriers, and most importantly, some concrete action steps that we can all take now. So with that, we invite you all to go on your break, and there will be NAM staff available outside of the auditorium to help guide people toward their breakout room. And then online folks will see 3 different links to be able to join their breakout of choice. So we'll come back to this main session at 5:10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. All righty, welcome back, everyone. So I have on stage our wonderful facilitators who will be doing the report outs from the discussions that we just had. So joined here by Thomas Campbell from Allegheny Health, Cheryl Peterson from American Nurses Association, and Megan Fernari from Oregon Health and Science University. And so I think we'll start with Megan. Why don't you share your group's report?
Thank you so much. It was a really riveting conversation. My group talked about how we support community hospitals and smaller sites with well-being resources, potentially in partnership from the larger academic sites. And it was a very rich dialogue. I have to say, it was a small but mighty group with really great representation. We had physicians, we had PAs, we had nurses, we had psychologists, one of each maybe, but it contributed to these incredible outcomes. So the summary I'd say is, some of the biggest challenges are just, you can't assume that your academic medical center is going to have all the answers for your community sites. They probably don't have them. So, understanding and really listening and creating an awareness of what the spaces look like and the differences. You might have a private practice, you might have a place that's very clinically driven, and there's not the learning, the research, the education. So listening, we talked about trust issues and different structures and resources available being compared to, an academic site, you may have very limited well-being resources established, and what do you do with those? And then many initiatives that we're piloting are kind of new and cutting edge are really evolving in the academic sites. And you want to have something durable that you can share with your community sites that's going to last and isn't in that innovations phase. And then socializing tools is hard. You might not have as much attention in a community site. People might want to work and go home, and they don't want to stay and learn about extra things. So our brief plan, and then I'll pass the mic, was first step, listen to understand. If you're starting a new relationship with your community site and want to support them. Step 2, realizing that staffing challenges and resource shortages are even worse in these sites, worse than the academic center, potentially. So start there and see who you can partner with the community site who would be wanting to address that. Is that a quality and safety leader? Quick wins, tell the site this is a priority for you too. Get local champions, because if you don't have someone internal, you won't make any headway. You need someone who knows the culture, who has buy-in, and who has relationships, who can really make the work fly. Step 4, what are some other partnerships you could develop beyond the local hospital? Are there local organizations, societies, other groups in the community that could help you with basic needs? What if you want to start a food pantry? What if you want to start a clothing share option? If right now basic needs matter, and if we don't meet those, we can't do anything for well-being. And then the last one was, what are some really great opportunities for these sites, things we could share? And I just want to highlight one given the time. The train-the-trainer approach, any program that you have where there's a virtual training that you could just share with your community site to build expertise and capacity. I'm thinking of my camaraderie groups, actually. We do a virtual training twice a year, and I could easily invite our community sites to train facilitators and then go out and spread the model in their area. So I think if you have something like that, that might be a really portable way to share well-being expertise and grow partnerships. I'll pause there, but it was a really rich and very underdeveloped conversation. I've not had this one before, and I think there's a lot of room for NAM to contribute to the space with all the societies that are part of the NAM initiative, and finding the community sites from those societies and associations and then building from there. Thank you all. I actually have to run. We have a family emergency, so I appreciate you all. And everything's okay. I'm going to go home, and we're going to take care of everything, and I appreciate this work. So I'm going to pass to my neighbor.
Thank you, Megan. Tom, you want to go?
Yeah, thanks everyone. In our subgroup, we talked about leadership turnover, and with a Slido, we found that about 80% of the participants had senior leadership turnover. So it seemed to be an important topic for us. And our first sort of question was, how do we keep long-term sustainability for our wellness programs with frequent leader turnover? And some of it, we started with structure. What structure could we come up with? And that is a structure that combined many other departments, the quality department, the DE&I programs, the patient experience program, the human resources program, so that either had a structure that had combined leadership, and someone even had shared fiscal responsibility between those groups, which I thought was really interesting. Along with structure, it was important to build trust initially. What our group came up with for building trust with new leaders was it's not going to be a quick thing to do. That takes time. It takes commitment in general, getting to know the new person, listening to them, finding what floats their boat. So to know that you could help them with whatever it is their drives them or is driving them, and that it was important that that is a continuing effort over time, and trust is built over a long period of time. Our third part of our question is what can we do now? And part of what I heard that was important was to make sure you get to know your board. It's the board who's driving the ship for the other leadership. So with leadership turnover, it seems like there's a lot less turnover in boards of directors. So if you get to know your board, they know what your program is, what it's about. That's something that's important you could do today. Be a little proactive. Know that leadership's going to turn over, right? We just saw 80% of us have leadership turnover right now, and it happens frequently at the C-suite level. So think about the structure, your plans, having your strategic plan for your wellness office integrate with the strategic plan for the healthcare organization or the hospital so that it's tied in closely. And then when looking at new leaders, if you could get on the search committee and the group to make sure that new leaders understand, or we understand, how important wellness is to them as well, because it's not a foreign topic. And I think we'll end there.
All right, thank you, Tom. And last but not least, Cheryl.
All right. Hello, Cheryl Peterson, American Nurses Association. And I had the privilege of managing the discussion around AI. And my notes are a bit of a hot mess, so I'm going to kind of bounce around. But we had such a wonderful discussion, and I just say thank you to everybody who was in that room with me. It was really a really great discussion. And I think, no, that's right, I got it. I think I want to just start with a couple of general statements that came out of our discussion. One is we had one individual who said we have to aim higher. Right now, we talk about kind of what's the low-level use of AI, but we should be aiming higher. We talked about the fact that we've got a generation of digital natives who are coming behind us, who are really much more familiar with AI and probably use it much more than we do. And so it's going to become second nature to them. And then we also said we still have to have professions that can function without AI. So those were kind of the pieces that started out our discussion. And then we had a first question, which was about how can we ensure long-term sustainability? We talked a lot about addressing old narratives where implementation has not gone well. Think EHR. What do we learn from that? And then how do we avoid those mistakes or learn from them? We talked about the need for solid change management skills and communication. And our colleague from Toronto, I don't see him in the room, talked about being clear about the use case, right? Not buying into the hype of AI, but being really clear about what it can do and what it can do well. He gave the example of sepsis, where there's like 500 articles about how AI could help sepsis, but there's only 5 really strong tools out there to be used. So understanding what's the right use case is going to be important. Our second question, how do we secure ongoing support for the AI system from leadership and clinicians? We went back to our AI systems, change management. How do we look for the early adopters? How do we look to influencers who can help move the system along? And then our last question was really about what would we do immediately? Create a governance framework for AI, do a risk assessment framework for AI, dedicated funding to support the implementation of AI, prioritize ways of supporting clinician judgment, but not that the AI system is making decisions, but it's a clinical support system. And communication, communicate. I'm just going back and looking. I think that was it. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. A round of applause for everyone. So thank you to our facilitators. Thank you to all of you for participating in the breakouts and throughout the day. I think we're really excited to be ending on some concrete next steps that we all can take. And using this day as sort of a huge brainstorm session for tomorrow, which is the National Observance of Health Workforce Wellbeing Day. And so we, are highly encouraging you to share your stories, your experiences, things that you've learned today, to collectively, raise awareness and our voices around this very important issue, and build on some of the successes from last year. So last year we were able to reach, more than 2.2 million people. Let's make that number even bigger this year. So thank you all for participating in this, and we wouldn't be anything without you all. So thank you so much.